Expand your vocabulary with our Core 2000 Words ebook. It's free and packed with essential expressions that you'll use on a daily basis. Start building your vocabulary today. Click the link in the description below to download your free Portuguese ebook before it's gone.
Welcome to PortuguesePod101.com's Português em 3 minutos, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Brazilian Portuguese. In the last lesson, we learned how to thank people by saying muito obrigado and how to reply with de nada. Today, we'll learn some common ways to say hello and goodbye in Brazil. Vocês estão prontos? Are you ready? Then, let's start! The most common informal greeting is Oi. Oi. Oi means hello. We say it when we meet someone. You may also say Olá. That also means hello. Olá. Another common greeting that you hear a lot in Brazil and at PortuguesePod101.com is Tudo bem. Tudo bem? Tudo bem means is everything fine? We use it usually together with Oi or Olá to greet someone. Altogether, you can say Oi, tudo bem? Oi, tudo bem? Tudo bem is a question, but it can also be the answer. Just say tudo bem, which means everything is fine. At the end, you can add e você? And you? Tudo bem, e você? Tudo bem, e você? When it's time to leave, we have a couple of different ways to say goodbye. You may say tchau. Tchau means bye. Tchau. You can also say see you soon. Até mais. Até mais. You also have adeus, which means goodbye, but you usually use it when the person is leaving to somewhere far or you're not going to meet for some time. Adeus. You learned a lot of new phrases today. Let's review with a quiz. What do you say in these situations? Oi. Olá. Oi, tudo bem? Tudo bem, e você? Tchau, até mais. Adeus. You now know lots of ways to greet people in Portuguese. Now it's time for Paloma's point. You often hear people saying tudo bom instead of tudo bem in Brazil. Bem means well and bom means good, but you usually use both in the same situations. Although tudo bem is more grammatically correct. During the next lesson, we'll talk about the phrase Desculpa, você fala inglês? Do you know what it means? Learn about it and much more in the next Português em 3 minutos lesson. Tchau, tchau! Oi, meu nome é Paloma. Hi everybody, I'm Paloma. Welcome to PortuguesePod101.com's Português em 3 minutos, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Portuguese. In the last lesson, we learned the most common forms of greetings in Portuguese. Do you remember them? In this lesson, we are going to learn a very useful phrase. Do you speak English? If you find yourself in a situation where you need assistance in English, this phrase can be a lifesaver. And because you're asking it in Portuguese, you can be sure that everyone will understand what you're saying, even if their answer is no. Here's the informal way to say it. Você fala inglês? Você fala inglês? In Portuguese, verbs change depending on the pronoun that is used. Please notice the word você in the beginning of the sentence. This is the informal way to say you. The next word is the verb falar, which means to speak. Because it's referring to você, it is conjugated to você fala. And you probably recognize inglês to be English. Você fala inglês? To learn how to properly conjugate verbs in Portuguese, like falar, please look at our beginner series on PortuguesePod101.com. You can find very detailed grammar lessons and resources there. If you're talking with young people or someone the same age as you, You can add a small word to sound more natural. Moço, meaning boy, and moça, girl. It is common to address the people around you like this. Moço, moço. Moça, moça. Moço, você fala inglês? Moça, você fala inglês? Now we'll see how to talk with a person older than you. It is very easy. You just need to change você into o senhor or a senhora. That means sir and madam in English. Everything else stays the same. O senhor fala inglês? O senhor fala inglês? A senhora fala inglês? A senhora fala inglês? Adding com licença, excuse me, the sentence becomes more polite. Com licença, moço, você fala inglês? Com licença, moço, você fala inglês? Or, com licença, o senhor fala inglês? Com licença, o senhor fala inglês? The responses you receive could be one of these three. Sim, yes. Sim. Pouco, a little. Pouco. Não, eu não falo inglês. No, I don't speak English. Não, eu não falo inglês. Since this last one is a negative statement, we need to say não before the verb falar. It is conjugated in the first person, eu falo. So, I don't speak is eu não falo. Now it's time for Paloma's point. For those of you who are not only English speakers, you can obviously use this question with any other language you need. Some people in Brazil study other languages at school, so maybe you get lucky. Just substitute English with Italiano for Italian, Russo for Russian, Espanhol for Spanish, Alemão for German, or any other language. In this lesson, we mentioned the expression com licença. But did you know that this could also be used as an apology? In the next lesson, we will learn this and other ways to apologize in Portuguese. It's never too late to show your good manners with Brazilian people. I'll see you in our next Português em 3 minutos lesson. Até mais!
Want to master grammar so you can speak properly, express yourself better, and understand more? In this video, I'll show you how to master grammar with our lessons and learning program. Let's begin. Number 1. Listen to the lesson conversations and explanations. In every lesson, you learn a conversation. Then, our teachers break down every word and grammar rule. So you're actually learning grammar rules in the context of conversations, and you can easily see how they're used. Once you're done, review the conversation again and again to remember what you've learned. Number 2. Read the bonus explanations and tutorials. With the lesson notes, you get extra grammar explanations and examples that are not presented in the lesson. After you're done with the lesson, read the lesson notes for extra review. You can even save them as PDFs so that you can access them anytime. Number 3. Leave a comment on the lesson. Once you've learned a grammar point, be sure to use it. Leave a comment in the comments section. Write some example sentences for practice. Our teachers will review your comment and give you feedback. Number 4. Unlock even more grammar lessons. If you want to find all of the grammar lessons available, visit our lesson library. Under Category, choose Grammar. You'll get all of the pathways and lessons dedicated to helping you learn and master sentence patterns and grammar points. So, if you're ready to finally learn a new language the fast, fun, and easy way, sign up for your free lifetime account by clicking on the link in the description. Signing up takes less than 30 seconds, and you'll start speaking from your very first lesson. If you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share it with anyone who's trying to learn a new language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. I'll see you next time. Bye!
Welcome to Can Do Portuguese by PortuguesePod101.com.
Oi, gente! O meu nome é Jade Furuta. Hi, everyone! My name is Jade Furuta. In this lesson, you learn how to tell someone where you're from in Portuguese.
This is Mark Lee, and he's on a plane to Brazil. Alex Andrade, a passenger sitting next to him, asks, "Where are you from?"
De onde você é?
Listen to the conversation and focus on Mark's response. Note, the speakers in this conversation use informal Portuguese. Ready?
De onde você é?
Eu sou de Nova York.
Once more with the English translation.
De onde você é?
Where are you from?
Eu sou de Nova York.
I'm from New York.
Let's take a closer look at the conversation.
Do you remember how Alex Andrade asks, "Where are you from?"
De onde você é?
Let's start with
Onde?
meaning where.
Onde? Onde?
Before this is
De,
meaning from in this context.
de,
Together,
de onde?
literally, from where. Last is
Você é?
you are.
Você é?
First is
Você,
meaning you in this context.
você, você,
Note, in Brazilian Portuguese,
você,
is used when addressing someone in a casual conversation. After this is
é,
literally is, but translates as are in this context.
é, é,
Is from the verb
ser,
meaning to be.
ser, ser.
Together,
Você é?
literally means you is, but translates as you are.
Você é?
Note,
Você,
you is always followed by a verb in the third person singular, as in,
você é?
literally, you is, but translates as you are. This is because
Você,
derives from
vossa mercê.
a form of address meaning your mercy, similar to other honorifics like your excellency or your honor. Thus,
Você,
began its life as a third-person singular pronoun, and therefore requires a verb in the third-person singular to agree with it. Altogether,
de onde você é?
literally, from where you is, but translates as where are you from?
De onde você é?
Remember this question. You'll hear it again later in this lesson.
Let's take a closer look at the response.
Do you remember how Mark Lee says, "I'm from New York"?
Eu sou de Nova York.
Let's start with
Nova York.
New York.
Nova York. Nova York.
In Portuguese, all nouns have grammatical gender, and, therefore, often appear with an article. However, city names like
Nova York.
are almost always used without articles, a fact which will determine the forms of other words in the sentence. Before
Nova York.
is
De,
from in this context.
de,
Together,
de Nova York.
from New York. Moving to the front of the sentence, First is
eu,
I.
eu, eu,
Next is
sou,
am.
sou, sou, sou,
Is from the verb
ser,
meaning to be.
ser.
Altogether,
Eu sou de Nova York.
I'm from New York.
Eu sou de Nova York.
The pattern is
Eu sou de city name.
I am from city name.
Eu sou de city name.
To use this pattern, simply replace the city name placeholder with the name of your hometown. Note, this sentence pattern works with most city names, as most city names don't appear with an article. Imagine you're from Sydney. In Portuguese,
Sydney. Sydney. Sydney.
say, I'm from Sydney. Ready?
Eu sou de Sydney.
I'm from Sydney.
Eu sou de Sydney.
The key pattern works with cities, as most cities don't appear with an article. However, this is not the case with cities named after common nouns. For cities named after common nouns, the corresponding article will change depending on the gender of the common noun. For example,
Rio de Janeiro.
is named after the masculine noun,
Rio.
meaning river. In Portuguese, all nouns have grammatical gender and are either singular or plural.
Rio.
Is masculine and singular, a fact which will determine the form of other words in the sentence. The corresponding definite article for masculine singular nouns is
O.
as in
O Rio.
the river. When
De.
precedes
O. De.
plus
O.
becomes,
Do.
therefore, I'm from Rio de Janeiro is
Eu sou do Rio de Janeiro. Eu sou do Rio de Janeiro. Guarda.
a city in Portugal is named after the feminine noun,
Guarda.
meaning guard. For feminine singular nouns, the corresponding definite article is
A.
as in
Aguarda.
the guard. When
De.
precedes
A. De.
plus
A.
becomes,
Da.
therefore, I'm from Guarda is
Eu sou da guarda. Eu sou da guarda.
You should be aware of this, but you won't need it for this lesson. For this lesson, recall city names, like
Nova York.
are almost always used without articles, and therefore the pattern is
Eu sou de city name.
Let's look at some examples. Listen and repeat or speak along with the native speakers.
Eu sou de Nova York. Eu sou de Nova York.
Eu sou de Porto Alegre. Eu sou de Porto Alegre.
Eu sou de Seattle. E você? Eu sou de Seattle. E você?
Eu sou de Londres. Eu sou de Londres.
Eu sou de São Paulo. Eu sou de São Paulo.
Eu sou australiana. Eu sou australiana.
Did you notice how the last speaker uses a different pattern?
Eu sou australiana.
I'm Australian.
Eu sou australiana.
First is
Eu,
I.
eu
Next is
sou,
am.
sou,
Together,
eu sou,
I'm.
eu sou
Next is
australiana.
an Australian woman.
Australiana.
Here, Mia Martin uses a feminine adjective
Australiana.
to describe herself. Altogether,
Eu sou australiana.
I'm Australian.
Eu sou australiana.
This pattern is
Eu sou nationality.
I'm nationality. To use this pattern, simply replace the nationality placeholder with your nationality. Note, this pattern requires an adjective, and its gender will depend on the gender of the speaker. Mia Martin uses a feminine adjective.
Australiana.
A male speaker from Australia would use a masculine adjective.
Australiano. Eu sou australiano.
I'm Australian.
Eu sou australiano.
You can use this response to answer the question.
De onde você é?
You should be aware of this pattern, but you won't need it for this lesson. Let's review the new vocabulary.
Nova York.
New York,
Nova York. Nova York. Porto Alegre.
Porto Alegre,
Porto Alegre. Porto Alegre. Seattle.
Seattle,
Seattle. Seattle. Londres.
London,
Londres. Londres. São Paulo.
Sao Paulo,
São Paulo. São Paulo.
Australian,
Australiano. Australiano. Australiana. Australiana. E você?
and you?
E você? E você?
Let's review. Respond to the prompts by speaking aloud. Then repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Ready? Do you remember how to say New York? Nova York. Nova York. And how to say from New York? De Nova York. De Nova York. Do you remember how Mark says, I'm from New York?
Eu sou de Nova York.
Eu sou de Nova York. Do you remember how to say where? Onde? Onde? And how to say from where? De onde? De onde? And do you remember how Alex Andrade asks, where are you from?
De onde você é?
De onde você é? Do you remember how to say London? Londres. Londres. And how to say Sydney? Sydney. Sydney. Do you remember how to say São Paulo? São Paulo. São Paulo. And how to say and you? E você? E você?
Let's practice. Imagine you're Jack Jones from London. Respond to Alex Andrade's question. Ready?
De onde você é?
Eu sou de Londres.
Listen again and repeat.
Eu sou de Londres. Eu sou de Londres.
Let's try another. Imagine you're Mia Martin from Sydney. Ready?
De onde você é?
Eu sou de Sydney.
Listen again and repeat.
Eu sou de Sydney. Eu sou de Sydney.
Let's try one more. Imagine you're Jaji Furuta from Sao Paulo. Respond and then add, and you? Ready?
De onde você é?
Eu sou de São Paulo. E você?
Listen again and repeat.
Eu sou de São Paulo. E você? Eu sou de São Paulo. E você?
Now, here's what you can do to cement this conversation in your head. Review the conversation with our dialogue tool and lesson transcripts. Study the key words and phrases with our spaced repetition flashcards. Review the key grammar and cultural tips inside the lesson notes. And test yourself with our assessment tests. So click the link in the description right now and sign up for your free lifetime account to access our Can-Do course.
Now you know how to say where you are from in Portuguese. That's all there is to it. Keep practicing and move on to the next lesson.
Learning to carry a conversation is vital to mastery of any language. Even beginners can quickly learn conversational language well enough to carry on real conversations with native speakers. Of course, beginners won't be able to carry a conversation the same way they could in their native language. But just knowing a few tips, like which questions to ask to keep a conversation going, are all you need to speak and interact with real native speakers. Before we get to specific suggestions, let's first take a closer look at how having real conversations in your target language is so vital to your mastery of the language. Communicating with other people is the very point of language, and conversation comes easily in our native tongue. For beginners or anyone learning a new language, conversations aren't easy at all, and even simple greetings can be intimidating and awkward. Nothing kills a conversation faster than long periods of awkward silence, so you need practice and specific strategies to avoid them. When you know what to say to keep a conversation going, communication becomes much easier, and you make a better impression on your listener. Nothing will help you learn to speak a language faster and truly master the language than having real conversations with native speakers. Conversations quickly expose you to slang, cultural expressions, and vocabulary that force you to absorb and assimilate information faster than any educational setting. And that's a great thing. But how can you possibly have real conversations with real people if you're just starting out? Here are 3 proven methods that even beginners can quickly use to learn conversational language to make a great impression and avoid awkward silences. First, ask questions to keep a conversation going. For beginners and even more advanced speakers, the key is to ask questions to keep a conversation going. Of course, they can't be just random questions, or else you may confuse the listener. But by memorizing a few key questions and the appropriate time to use them, you can easily carry a conversation with minimal vocabulary or experience. And remember, the more conversations you have, the quicker you will learn and master the language. Second, learn core vocabulary terms as quickly as possible. You don't need to memorize thousands of words to learn conversational language. In fact, with just a couple hundred words, you could have a very basic conversation. And by learning maybe 1,000 to 2,000 words, you could carry a conversation with a native speaker about current events, order in restaurants, and even get directions. To help you get started with this, check out our 2,000 common words, also known as our core list. These 2,000 words are all you need to learn to speak fluently and carry a conversation with a native speaker. Third, study video or audio lessons that you can play and replay again and again. If you want to know how to carry on a conversation, then you need exposure to native speakers, and the more, the better. Studying video or audio lessons is ideal because they provide contextualized learning in your native language, and you can play them again and again until you achieve mastery. Our instructors have created more than 2,500 video and audio lessons that you can play over and over. And the best part is, they don't just teach you vocabulary and grammar. They are designed to help you learn to speak and teach you practical everyday topics like shopping, ordering, and more. Although it may seem intimidating for a beginner, the truth is that it's very easy to learn conversational language. Just learn a few core vocabulary terms and which questions to ask to keep a conversation going. Our language learning program has the world's largest online collection of video and audio lessons by real instructors, plus tons of advanced tools to help you learn to speak and carry on a conversation quickly. Just a little practice and exposure to real conversations or lessons is all it really takes. So, if you're ready to finally learn a new language the fast, fun, and easy way, sign up for your free lifetime account by clicking on the link in the description. Signing up takes less than 30 seconds, and you'll start speaking from your very first lesson. If you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a new language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. I'll see you next time. Bye!
Oi, meu nome é Paloma. Hi everybody, I'm Paloma. Welcome to PortuguesePod101.com's Português em 3 minutos, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Brazilian Portuguese. In the last lesson, we learned how to introduce ourselves in Portuguese. As good manners are a must everywhere, today we are going to learn how to thank people. Vocês estão prontos? Are you ready? Vamos começar. Then let's start. There are several ways to thank someone. Let's start with the most common phrase, obrigado. Obrigado. Obrigado means thank you. To say thank you very much, you just need to add muito in the beginning. Muito obrigado. Muito obrigado. Muito means a lot. So, muito obrigado is like saying thank you very much. In the last lesson, we saw that Portuguese words may vary according to gender. You say obrigado if you are a man. If you are a woman, you should say obrigada. Obrigada. When someone thanks you, how should you answer? There are a few things you can say. The first is de nada. De nada. This means it's nothing. You're telling the person that it's nothing worth thanking you for. There's another phrase that is often used to mean you're welcome in Portuguese. Disponha. It means welcome in English, but it's not used as often as de nada. Time for another quiz. What do you say in these situations? Muito obrigada. Muito obrigado. De nada. Now it's time for Paloma's point. In Brazil, we sometimes cut words when we are talking. For example, it's very common to hear brigado instead of obrigado. Don't get confused between brigado, that means fight, and brigado, thank you. Do you know what tudo bem means? In our next lesson, you'll learn this and some other greetings in Portuguese. Até a próxima!
Expand your vocabulary with our Core 2000 Words ebook. It's free and packed with essential expressions that you'll use on a daily basis. Start building your vocabulary today. Click the link in the description below to download your free Portuguese ebook before it's gone.